I want to welcome everyone to the Arkansas Alumni Presents as we present our national board members. This is a part 2 of a series where we're introducing everyone, giving them that opportunity to learn a little bit about our new slate of board members that are coming on board. I want to thank everyone for taking their time to visit with us today, and hopefully we'll learn some insights about our leadership for the Alumni Association going forward. I'll start out with some brief introductions of each one, and we'll go through some Q&A just to gain insights about who they are. I'm going to start with Nate Looney, who is an 09 graduate, summa cum laude from the University of Arkansas, learned his bachelor's. Looney earned his Master's of Public Service and Juris Doctorate from Clinton School of Public Service and the UA Bowdoin School of Law after graduation. Hey, Nate, can you tell us something that's not on your bio and a favorite time on campus?
You guys would think after 16 or 17 months, I'd be able to unmute myself. Sorry about that. How is everybody? Thanks. And Ryan, thanks for having us, and sure appreciate Brock and everybody for offering this opportunity. Really excited about it. Something not on the bio. I see some friends from Facebook and Twitter. So it's probably not going to be a surprise to you all, but I have a 6-year-old golden retriever named Fitz. Great dog, gets into a lot of trouble. He's massive. If you've seen him, if you ever have, there's always a comment, oh, he's such a big boy. I'm beginning to think he's beginning to develop some sort of complex or something, but he's a lot of fun. And so hopefully if you haven't had a chance to meet him, maybe one of these days you will. As far as the experience, I would say fall 2006, it would have been the last time I believe that College Game Day was on campus. We were hosting, I want to say like number 13 Tennessee. It was cold. Anyways, it was just such a fun day to be a Razorback. It was, just an electric atmosphere, had family and friends in from all over. And so when you think about things that are really memorable, just being able to have that experience was just something that meant a lot to me. And so hopefully we'll have a lot more College Game Days in the future.
Indeed, looking forward to those, and welcome to the board. Next, I'll introduce Cedric Williams B.S.B.A. of 1993 from Forest City. He's originally from a small town in South Arkansas called Stevens. Williams is a State Farm agent with over 26 years of experience with State Farm in Central Arkansas. He is also the mayor of Forest City in the 3rd year of his first term. Cedric, welcome to the board. Can you tell us something not on your bio as well, and a favorite time on campus?
Well, thanks, Ron, and good afternoon to everybody. Really looking forward to serving on the board and working with everybody. Oh, something that's not on my bio. Ron mentioned I'm from a small town, Stevens, Arkansas, but one thing people might not know is that back in the early 80s, we had a cattle farm on the side, and we were actually voted the Farm Family of the Year for Ouachita County back in the early 80s. And so there's some pictures floating around somewhere with me before braces with a cowboy hat on, holding on to a steer of a cow. I'm sure Mom still has those somewhere of that. Some of my favorite times on campus, I go back to some of the Black Alumni Society weekends or some of the Greek shows where you had a lot of alumni coming back, and really was an enjoyable time to see the passion of people coming back and enjoying themselves on campus, but also enjoying ourselves as undergrads too. But again, thank you for the opportunity to serve on the board.
Great, Cedric. Thanks. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing those pictures. Next, we have Miss Amy May Hopper, who is a graduate with a BS in 2015 with a degree in agricultural business. After graduation, Amy moved to Kansas City to work for the Andersons, starting as a commodity merchandiser in training. Still with the Andersons, Amy is now a profit center manager for a trade desk that focuses on trading cottonseed. Amy May and her husband live in Belton, Missouri, but find themselves visiting Arkansas frequently, where they both have family. Amy, can you tell us something not in your bio, as well as one of your special times or moments at Fayetteville?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to work with you guys too. Of course, Dr. Rainey, good to see you again. You know, it's always hard to believe that you've been out of school for as long as you have. You look back at your time in college and it feels like it's so much longer than I've been working. I always tell people that seeing kids now, for me, is the reminder that time is continuing to go by as fast as it is. But something not in my bio, I'm from a small town in Louisiana originally, St. Francisville, Louisiana. I went to high school in a small town, a smaller town in Colorado, called Westcliff, Colorado. It's always fun to tell people this as I get to know them a little better, because I think they find it funnier whenever they get to know me better. But I was on our high school's wrestling team when I was in high school in Colorado. I've got a pretty funny picture that I can share with you guys as well one of these days to give proof to that. Favorite time on campus. One of my most memorable times on campus was my senior year, when Arkansas beat LSU, and the whole stadium stormed the field. And actually I was on my second date with the guy who is now my husband. But I just remember the energy from that game. I think that the LSU coaches even talked about that after the game, how much energy they could feel from the crowd. So that's one of my favorite times on campus.
Great. Well, welcome to the board, a fellow Bumpers College alum. Looking forward to working with you. And our last new member is Fahim Khan, who is a B.S.B.A. 1991 graduate and currently is an executive director at J.P. Morgan Chase, leading their lodging and hospitality vertical within merchandise services. Khan is a proven leader with 29 years of recognized success in sales, business development, and leadership. He currently serves on the board of directors for the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, the largest hotel owners association in the world. He's an avid traveler both in the U.S. and internationally. Welcome, Khan. So can you tell us anything that's not in your bio, as well as one of your special moments on the Fayetteville campus?
You know, the earlier part that you said is I graduated in '91, so it's been a lot of years. So there are a lot of things in my bio that I could mention. But one of the things that I can talk about that I really kind of enjoy a lot that's not in my bio is I love the beach, as I was talking about earlier. I also love skiing. So for a guy who never saw snow growing up, coming to Arkansas and seeing the first time I've seen white snow over there, I just love skiing. So it's an annual tradition for us and our family to kind of go skiing in the wintertime. So this year we were able to ski about over 3 weeks of skiing. So I really enjoy that. Some of the things, one of my most fondest memories from campus, I would say, again, aging myself, not meaning to, but aging myself. Anybody who was there in the mid 80s, I always used to look forward to going to Union and going downstairs and shooting pool with some of my friends. And those friends are still closest friends today that I have. So we used to go over there, shoot pool, put on music on the jukebox over there. It used to cost 60 cents per hour to play, to shoot pool. And we used to plan on our evenings at OPO, what we're going to do when we're going to go to OPO, which is the old post office, for those who don't know that. So those are the days.
But Fahim, you are dating us a little bit as I see some of the smiles, as you mentioned, especially OPO. I'll start with you as we get into some other questions. You mentioned some of the things that happen around the community of Fayetteville, but the university has a rich in tradition. And in your opinion, what tradition defines the university the most and why? And I'll start with you, Fahim.
I would say there's nothing like the senior walk anywhere. That's something that you can always hang on to, even though my name was spelled wrong. I had to get that corrected, which messed up the whole write-up, but that's a different story. But the thing is, just having the senior walk and having that legacy to kind of really kind of reflect that upon any other family members, friends, my kids now, and hopefully their kids in the future, it's always going to be there. So that's to me, that's the most important thing. Great tradition.
Great, great. How about you, Amy May?
I mean, it's hard to top senior walk, you know, while you're in school. It's something that you look forward to. Now it's something I look back on. But I guess second to that, to me, you know, being from Louisiana, LSU gets a lot of support when they're winning. The thing that to me stood out about Arkansas whenever I came to Arkansas was Arkansas gets a lot of support from its fans all the time. It gets support from people who didn't go there. It gets supports on years that maybe aren't so good in whatever sport. And we get support on every sport. I think that speaks to the fan base. I think that speaks to Arkansas as a whole. And I love that. I mean, I love competitiveness too, don't get me wrong. But just the supportive nature of the campus, the community, to me, that's a kind of unspoken tradition that I found while I was in Arkansas and appreciate today.
Oh, great. It is. That support is phenomenal. It's one thing that I love about our fan base and people that never, ever attended the university, but they love the Razorbacks. So great, great. Cedric, what about you? What's your favorite? What's your tradition defined?
It kind of took mine as far as the senior walk. It is, you know, something that's very valuable, especially able to bring your kids and relatives back to take a look at that. But I will also say the hall call. Anywhere you go, you get a chance to, you know, travel all parts of the country, and you say you're a Razorback, and all of a sudden they say, "Wait a minute, what's that noise? What's that call, you guys?" And so it's a tradition that really, you know, sets us apart, and everybody knows if you do that, you're one of those Razorback fans there. So that's my tradition.
Oh, great, great, and it is a special one. And Nate, how about you?
You know, we have so many great ones. I mean, again, thinking of the senior walk, you know, one of the things that was always so striking to me about that is you'd see all these names, and whether you were a freshman or somebody coming back and taking family there, you know, seeing that we all have something that kind of unites us, you know, so regardless of where you come from, what you look like, what you do for a living, being able to see that people have been before you and people are going to come after you, I think that's neat. But what Mayor said, I mean, there's something special about people calling the Hogs. And I mean, I remember hearing it whenever I was on campus when I couldn't get tickets to a football game or something. And you have 80,000 fans, and, you know, you're a mile away and you can still hear it. So a lot of neat stuff.
It really helps build on that fantastic legacy that is the University of Arkansas. And as we go around the country, around the world, we can see that passion. So as we go, we talk about just so we can learn a little bit more about you all outside or maybe even inside the university. What are you most passionate about? And I'll stay with you, Nate.
Well, so I had family members that went to the University of Arkansas, and I attended games as a kid. But whenever I found myself as a freshman on campus, I didn't know a whole lot of folks. I had a couple people from my hometown, and I'll credit the Alumni Association for this. I was able to get involved early. I had a scholarship, and they just really took me under their wing and introduced me to people, and I mean, connected me. And so I think about the people that many are on this call today that I've just developed deep relationships with. And, you know, some of the key traits that I saw, you know, running through the Alumni Association and many of our alumni and some of those dear friends now is that they, you know, they don't care that there's a kid that they don't know or anything else, but they want to see that person succeed. And so they're just connectors at heart. And so, you know, I still have work to do, but I try to mimic, you know, what I'm doing today off their behavior. And so I look out, you know, I want to see people succeed, and to the extent that I can help make people's University of Arkansas experience better, whether, you know, that they're freshmen on campus or current students or folks that we're trying to keep engaged as alumni. I just feel like that's a neat opportunity and something that, you know, not only is fulfilling to me, but I owe it to so many people for what they did for me in my life. So hopefully connecting people.
No, great. Definitely our connection starts with the Alumni Association. So looking forward to bringing that energy to the board. So thank you. Cedric, how about you? What are you passionate about, either inside or outside the university?
Well, I'm very passionate about service and actually helping to provide opportunities. One of my favorite sayings that try to live it to today is plant trees under whose shade we don't plan to sit. And in other words, I want to help provide opportunities for a lot of our young people that I've had, and also help provide the resources for them to take advantage of those particular opportunities, so that they can be very, very successful, when it's our time to go sit under a tree somewhere in that aspect. So serving your community and serving as far as helping provide people opportunities to attend the University of Arkansas and get the great experience that I had here is some of the things I'm very passionate about.
Great, great. We'll look forward to that continued service, especially as we try to expand our reach across the state and across the U.S. So, Amy May, what are you passionate about, either outside or inside the university?
I guess when I think about all of how I spend my time as an adult now, the common thread that I see that I'm gravitated toward is understanding other people's perspectives. And so to give you an example of that, as you mentioned, I'm a commodity merchandiser, and I was at a conference at this point, I guess a couple of years ago now, but I was at a conference and the presenter said, trading models are no longer built on supply and demand factors. They're built around what people believe will be the supply and demand. They're built around the emotions, the aspects, the stories, the headlines, not actual supply and demand. And I think a lot of that is because of how fast info travels in our world. We're digesting quicker than what the actual supply and demand story is going to play out. We're digesting how people are going to react, the emotions. A big USDA report comes out next week. And as a trade desk, we're trying to figure out, okay, what does the actual trade market believe? What's the USDA going to say? And when is that gap between the two going to come together? Same with, I mentioned in my bio, I'm in my pastime, I really enjoy training dogs. Similar there, where what the dog perceives as the reward or the correction is all that matters. What you think is a correction or a reward, it has nothing to do with your success in training. You come in and the dog has taken the big steak off the counter 10 minutes ago and you start yelling at the dog's saying, hey, I got my reward from jumping on the counter. I'm going to keep jumping on the counter. But every time you come in, you just yell at me. So me and you really don't have that good of a relationship, whereas you're trying to communicate the exact opposite. So understanding just other people's perspective and the difference between what that is and how you're communicating. I really love that. And that is what I hope to bring to the board, being willing to listen to people's stories and just seeing the different walks of life and how they can relate back to the U of A in that way.
Oh, great. That will be some great skills that we need as we try to have empathy for the Razorback family, as we are a community and welcoming and inclusive and trying to make everyone feel like they belong when they come to that campus. We're all the same family. So great perspective. Fahim, how about you? What are you passionate about, either outside or inside the university?
You just mentioned it, Ron. My biggest passion is having a diverse campus, diverse lifestyle, and an inclusive lifestyle, because they just completely go hand in hand, and one doesn't go without the other. It's been a passion of mine, and I'm very privileged to work for a firm, JP Morgan Chase, that does practice that, and not just say it, but actually practices that, because we're a global company, and to have that kind of ability. When I go back to campus and I see the campus and I see the potential of what it can really do when it gets more diversity and more international students over there, and trying to kind of grow that piece, that's just going to bring a better sense of belonging, and everybody's going to be working better. And I mean, that's the biggest thing that I can find myself doing as a board member, is to kind of build up on that piece of it, because I think that was the missing link for the longest time, and hopefully we can kind of bring that piece in there. And I see Julie on this call. Hey, Julie, she's been so supportive in everything that I've been trying to do to kind of get the international piece into campus. So.
Great. We're hoping to continue to grow that as we grow that global footprint for campus, and there is a role to play. So really appreciate your leadership and look forward to working with you there. We're going to move on to the next question. I'll stay with you, Fahim, because you were talking about OPO and different places on the weekend. So tell us about your time in undergrad. Were you involved? What was your experience, and how did that help prepare you for your career?
Yes, I was involved. I was involved in various international associations. I did a poor job of emceeing one time at a international banquet. I don't know how I got through that, but I did it. With who's now my wife. 30 something years later, we emceed, and it was the hardest time. But I was heavily involved with helping newer students that came in, to kind of teach them about the American culture and how to kind of, walk the walk, basically, and trying to understand that piece and making them feel comfortable, because they came to a new culture, which I did. When I first came to Fayetteville, I did not know anybody that was within 600 miles away. So, I did that, and then, the other thing that I learned, the biggest thing that I learned, was how to network and how to network and to be able to lead. And it was all done by a growth mindset, making mistakes and improving upon yourself. And I still practice that today. My biggest, working with lodging, you have to be able to network. You're going to you always networking, you're always working, and then leading teams that are from diverse backgrounds and stuff. So that all comes into play, and it wouldn't have been done if it wasn't for U of A.
Great comments. How about you, Amy May? How about your undergrad experience and your involvement?
And I do agree with Fahim that as far as preparedness for a career, a lot of it was making mistakes, honestly, but yes, was involved. I think the areas that got my most time were student government, the sorority I was in, which was Kappa Kappa Gamma, Bumpers College, and then the baseball team. Like I said, a lot of those preparedness moments came from making a lot of mistakes. One of the things I've learned that's carried through into a career that I'm really, really thankful for was you can give your best to anyone, but not everyone. So I'm very cautious now with my time. And honestly, being in the commodity space, I feel like if I wouldn't have learned that lesson in college, it would be easy to try to be everyone to everyone, but not everything should be commoditized, relationships being the number one thing there. So I'm really thankful for that. Absolutely, not just how to make that relationship and network real quick, but how do you, number one, keep that relationship and decide eventually which relationships you do want to keep. So my involvement definitely shaped my life in, every way it feels like.
Good. No, that's great perspective. And those relationships that they will continue once we leave campus. So it's been amazing to me how connected you come, not just across Arkansas, but globally from your experiences on campus. So Cedric, how about you? How about your time undergrad?
Well, it's a great question. And, coming from a small town, Stevens, Arkansas, my graduating class was 28 people. You could just imagine walking into that chemistry class of 700 people and saying, okay, looking around, and hey, people don't really recognize who you classify. But I was very, very involved. I started off at, summer programs, and kind of dating myself also in the late 80s, just coming up in Fayetteville in the engineering programs. And after a couple of years, I switched over and finished my degree in the School of Business and Computer Information Systems Quantitative. But I was also involved in fraternity life and a member of Phi Alpha fraternity. And really, that helped establish a lot of lifelong relationships that I still have here today. That, again, my time on campus really prepared me, for life, especially coming from a small town. And I still say to this day, I had the best job ever had on campus. And Khan mentioned this about the student union building. I was the assistant manager of the student union building. And at that particular time, that's where all the parties would happen on the weekend. And so while you were working, you had the keys to all the doors. But also as a student, that's where the cafeteria was, and you had a chance to eat the leftovers, so you didn't have to do that. And again, the diverse culture of the campus, the relationships that you met, I still use those as far as in life today. And I wouldn't trade my experience at University of Arkansas for anything.
Great, great. Hey, Nate, how about you and your undergrad experience?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Again, I want to turn back to folks, again, being connectors. I think about one of the first people I met on campus, a guy named Phil Brick. Y'all may know Phil. He's an attorney at the Friday firm now. He was student body president when I met him at Walmart, and I kind of bumped into him. It was like the deodorant aisle or something like that. I'm like, hey, didn't you just give a speech? And anyways, he's super gracious and talked to a freshman, and it's like, hey, you need to get involved in student government, and invited me to do that. And of course, he didn't have to do that, and so I had the opportunity to do student government. I think I saw Jody Priest on the call. It's just fantastic. So many wonderful memories working with Miss Jody over the years. Fraternity and some other student organizations. But when Amy was speaking earlier about, setting yourself up and how it prepares you for life after college and mistakes. And Fahim said, living in that growth mindset, it came to mind a huge mistake I made when I was working on an issue on behalf of student government it was then Vice Chancellor Richard Hudson. And I'll spare the details on the issue, but we were reaching out to some members of the state legislature. And I forget what year I was, rather than sending the internal email I meant to send to our folks that were helping to organize some support around this particular issue, I sent it to the key legislators we were trying to target. And so it was a huge growth opportunity. And there was a lot of grace extended all the way from the folks that were supposed to, receive the message or on the team all the way up to Richard Hudson. And so, you learn to look who you're sending an email to, learn that pretty fast. But, beyond that, you make mistakes and, you come from a good place and work hard and continue working hard and continue to challenge yourself. So what Fahim said and Amy, it really resonated with me.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's always amazing because I think my biggest growth comes in those mistakes or those missteps. And so it's always good, especially when you get grace extended. So it's always good to complete that circle as others make those missteps. I'll stay with you, Nate. And so just talk a little bit about your interest in being the board. So what made you interested in being in joining the board?
This organization has meant so much to my life and my trajectory. I'm working at Arkansas Children's now, and it was folks that I'd met through the University of Arkansas process that first helped introduce me to this experience. And so you look at where I'm at currently, all the way back to the first experience I had on campus, and the board and the Alumni Association has been so central to who I am and what I hope to be as I continue to move forward. And so, one, I think there's an element of, hey, I've been so fortunate, I want to help. And beyond that is, I want to stay engaged. I mean, the Alumni Association doing some great stuff. And, this gives me an opportunity to be part of that and work along some really fabulous people.
No, good, good. Really appreciate your willingness to serve and looking forward to it. How about you, Cedric? What made you want to join the board?
Well, I just kind of ditto to what Nate said on that. Just the opportunity to give back, especially where I live now in East Arkansas, to really sell the university to young people here in the Delta area about the opportunities that are available at the U of A. And also, again, the U of A has been very instrumental in my success in my career. And again, it's just the opportunity to help tell my story and also help provide resources and opportunities for others to have the opportunity to attend the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville.
Great, great. Again, appreciate your willingness to serve. How about you, Amy May? You're interested in being on the board?
We had a group of friends this past New Year's for a hunting trip. Again, we've got a hunting dog. So they came up for a pheasant hunt with us. And after the hunt, we were all sitting around our living room, and all the boys were covered up in blankets, passed out around the room, just tired and cold. We live in Kansas City, so it was a very, very cold day, and it really taken it out of the boys, and all the girls were kind of huddled up around a table in the center playing cards. And going back earlier, talking about relationships that last, it was one of those moments looking around the room where it just felt like, wow, these are relationships that have lasted over time. What has brought us all together? And the answer was the University of Arkansas. They were roommates, they were sorority sisters, they were club members, people that you did community service with or just met in campus. But those experiences have lasted continually for me so far. Going back earlier to seeing things from other people's perspective being a joy of mine, I think a lot of folks who aren't going to have the same opportunity simply have the perspective that they can't or they don't have that. Getting a chance to communicate that you do and you will and you can, it just kind of excites me. It fits in line with what I enjoy. I think it's a way that I can give back. It's a way I get excited about giving back, is understanding that perspective that is going to keep somebody from having those same opportunities I did because of the U of A. So for me, I guess, ditto to both Cedric and Nate, in my own way, excited to give back.
Right, great. So we're so very thankful of your willingness to serve as well. So thank you. Fahim, how about you? What made you interested in being on the board?
A combination of what the other three board members mentioned. However, I cannot say I experienced what Nate has experienced, meaning like that with the help from the alumni, and then kind of how he kind of engages himself from that aspect of it. In my life, it was a little bit different because as soon as we graduated, we moved down to Dallas, and then life got in the way of working hard, trying to make your ends meet, and then getting married, having kids, and then still used to come to Fayetteville to visit sometimes, but never was engaged with the campus part of it until a few years ago. But what really got me excited was a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or last couple of years ago, I believe, somebody had asked me, and I think it was Julie who had asked me if I would like to kind of interview homecoming candidates, so homecoming queen candidates and stuff. So I went through that process, and that's when you start identifying and you tie in the two things together with your work. When you kind of see these kind of talented individuals, and we started seeing these resumes of talented individuals, and you start talking to them, like, okay, I've been through some of this kind of stuff. How can I give back to these people and kind of really show them and pave them a way? And before that, also, when we were showing our son the campus, and then we started showing our daughter the campus, she wanted to go to San Diego or Hawaii or somewhere where the beach was and stuff. And then she used to tell her friends, like, oh yeah, and also Arkansas, because my parents wanted me to go to Arkansas. Well, fast forward her freshman year at Arkansas, we were just driving down, and she said, I don't think I've ever told you guys how appreciative I am that, I'm going to Arkansas right now, because it just kind of, I know exactly what you guys are talking about. So it was a really, really cool experience for her. So I want to be able to kind of give back to other kids that are kind of getting through high school and trying to find their way to kind of go find college. And then even for the kids that are in college, show them a path of how they can be successful in the future.
Great. Really appreciate those comments and insights from you all. And before we open up to questions from the chat, just give you each an opportunity to say anything, something that you haven't previously mentioned, and I'll just go back and leave it to you, Fahim. Anything you'd like to add?
I would love to be able to help people lessen the unconscious biases that are out there. So if anything that I can do to kind of help, that's my goal.
Great. It's needed. Appreciate that. Appreciate those comments. How about you, Amy May?
I guess I just want to say thank you guys. I am excited to serve. I think especially as I get older, at the ripe old age of 28, I appreciate just more and more hearing people's stories. I'm excited to get to know all of your stories. It's my favorite thing about my job, getting to hear my customers' stories and what makes them personally and their businesses tick. Obviously the folks that we serve on the board have their own stories. Each chapter has their own story. I'm just excited to have another piece of my life that's engaged in hearing the stories that are around us.
Oh, good. How about you, Cedric?
Yeah, probably find it on mute there. Just thank you for the opportunity. To be in the position to, sell the university, and again, having people have the same opportunity that I had, and kind of also maybe dispelling some of the rumors about the U of A and those things such as that, especially over in some of our East Arkansas areas. And again, the opportunity being in put in position to make a difference in people's lives.
Great. Appreciate that. And Nate, how about you? Comments you want to add?
I got to say, first I thought Fahim was going to say that he had never sent a mass email to state legislators he didn't intend to. So I was going to say that's a good thing. No, kind of on and piggybacking off of what Fahim said, this is inspirational for me, whether it's, getting the opportunity to work with students and seeing their backgrounds and having to connect on that level, or just getting to work with some of the great people we do, or just seeing day to day, again, all the neat things that's happening at the University of Arkansas. It's a great time to be a Razorback, and we have a lot to celebrate. And for me to have that opportunity, it's neat.
No, well, we'll definitely appreciate, again, all of your willingness to serve. You are an impressive group, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Brock, do we have any questions in the chat that people have posed for our new members?
One comment in particular, Nate, Jody says hello as well.
Good. Since there's no comments, and feel free, if you have a question for the board that you'd like them to address, feel free to put it in the chat. I've got one more question. We'll go around. Again, I'll start with I'll just have you jump in wherever. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to an incoming freshman, graduating senior, or an alum, what would that advice be? I guess I'll start with, I'll go back to you, Nate.
I would just say, and this is, geared to somebody coming to campus, as Cedric was saying, it can be perceived as a big place. And so, do what you can to get involved, get out there. I mean, whenever I was there, there's 300 plus student organizations. Now there's probably 1,000 plus. And so anything from something, if you like to play video games or bowl or fraternities, there's something there. And the experiences that you'll have, the people that you'll meet, the different views and points of, perspectives that you'll encounter. I mean, that's what college is about as much as anything is in the classroom. And so, of course you got to go to class, but I would say, get involved and really have that holistic university experience.
Great. How about you, Cedric? Any advice you wish to share?
And again, mine is kind of geared towards, high school graduate incoming. First of all, study, establish good study habits on the aspect, get a great foundation, especially academically your freshman year. Again, don't be intimidated. If I can go and graduate, you can do the same in that aspect. Establish those relationships, but also I would tell them to try to cherish their time on campus because it goes so fast. Just to try to enjoy the moment, enjoy, being a Razorback, going to a baseball game, a football game, or a basketball game. Just try to cherish that time in your history of being a Razorback.
Indeed. Thank you for that. It definitely does go fast. And Amy May, any parting words of advice?
I definitely would reiterate what both Cedric and Nate said about, don't let the bigness cause you to not be involved in anything. Sometimes you look at it and think, wow, goodness, take the steps out there to get involved. And then I would say second step to that, once you take that big step, start learning at who you are through that. What are those commonalities? I guess two sayings that I would think about here are, you are who you hang out with and what you read, or you are how you, if you look at your checkbook and your planner, that's kind of who you are too. So start thinking about that while you're in college, and how you spend your time. I think for me, the University of Arkansas was a place to find those passions and dig into things that had interested me in high school, and it absolutely shaped my life thereafter. I mean, several professors today are the reason that I have a job in the ag industry. I mean, no doubt about it. And if I wouldn't have been willing to explore, I didn't even know my job existed when I was exiting high school, and frankly, the class that I had to take that led into this job, I was scared to death to take. I didn't think I would understand it. I was super intimidated by it. But just being willing to explore that and then start to synthesize that info that you gather, to me, that's going to last you forever. And it's the service that we're all thankful for, it sounds like, on here.
Good. Thank you for those thoughts. Fahim, how about you? Any parting words?
Well, for the incoming freshmen, I would suggest, I would advise them that they're going to be experiencing some of the most beautiful times of their lives, and to cherish them as the others have said. For the graduating seniors, I would say that you're going to you've made some of the best friends that you're going to have. And my personal experience has been those friends are still my friends after 30 years later. They're still some of my best friends, and they're not only in the United States. I've got friends in the UK, Dubai. I was just thinking about it the other day, Singapore, Pakistan, India, and then including Kazakhstan. I've got a close friend of mine, and this is before all the social media. We were still in contact with each other, by old phone calls. So, I'm looking forward to seeing them again sometime soon. And then for the alumni, again, from my experience, I'd love to kind of talk to alumni that have graduated from Arkansas in the past and they've kind of moved on with their lives. That if you have not been to Fayetteville recently, please try to go back there again, because it's just as beautiful as it used to be. And when you go there, you kind of go like, okay, wow, what was I missing out on? You know, so and then also becoming advocates and trying to bring other people to come to Arkansas and go to school over there.
Great. Wonderful insights. Well, those are all the questions I have. I don't see any in the chat. And so I just want to thank you all for sharing your thoughts today and your willingness to serve. I want to thank everyone for joining on the call this afternoon, and hopefully you've gained some insights. So feel free to reach out to the Alumni Association. We continue to try to move our engagement with our alums across the world forward. And just thank you all for joining us. You all have a great day.